Well, my name's Robin Lloyd. We have a branch up here in Burlington, Vermont that is, we meet once a month, and we our most active member is Marguerite Edelman. I don't know whether she's on the call here, but she has been wonderful in sponsoring projects, and now she is very involved in the PFAS issue and has really made things happen in the state legislature that is unusual and wouldn't have happened without her and the Wilpf energy behind her. I want to just talk a little bit and maybe show some photographs here because I can share the screen. There we are. Can you see it? That's actually Marguerite right there speaking with her hand up in Wing Farm, which is in Rochester, Vermont. And Jill Clark Golub is there in the foreground, who is a new member of our branch, and Dorothy Todd, and a lot of people know Pocky Wieland. And then this is Vicki Elson, who presented the next day at a public place, and I hope to show some of those photographs if I can figure out how to get to them. And then, of course, Nancy Price is right there. Here is another photo at the event, at the larger event. And our main speaker was Medea Benjamin, and she was terrific. And I really encourage all of you to invite her. She's very accessible. If you email her, she came here with her, I believe her husband, and he brought all of the banners that you can see in the background here. And her message is end war. And my message too was we got started coming together, women coming together from Europe and the United States to end World War I. We worked together to end World War II, and now we are facing World War III. And this is, to my mind, the most urgent issue in front of us, because the massacres continue on in Ukraine, and the weapons keep going there, and we are defunding our many human services here in the United States. And that people need to be aware of why there aren't enough services for mental health for teenagers or for housing or so on. The money is going to the war makers, the factories, and being sent to Ukraine. So that was our main message. And we had a wonderful display from warheads to windmills, which also I would recommend that you invite to your branches, because Vicki Elson spoke and her husband Timon also came on, and it sort of shows how to really implement the Green New Deal, which is sort of an idea out there. Yeah, sounds good, but how do we actually move from this militarized society to a society that cares for people? And Timon is an incredible intellectual.
Robin, can you wrap?
Okay, so I'm just urging people to make use of those speakers, both Vicki Elson and Timon and Medea Benjamin, to your branches. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak with you all tonight on behalf of the Florida branch. Some of you know me already, but I'm pretty new to Wilpf. So my name is Eva Egozi. I just started in my junior year of high school in Miami, Florida. I kind of just want to talk to you all about how I got started with Wilpf and how I ended up beginning with my chapter and then the initiatives we've worked on so far. So I first began interested in kickstarting my chapter of Wilpf during the beginning of my sophomore year of high school. So I was kind of looking for organizations that I could join that would allow me to kind of bring something bigger to my community. And as a high schooler for the past 5 years now, I've been participating in speech and debate. And the aspect of speech and debate that I do in my high school is I can compete with comparing different kind of policies and enacting policy changes. And through that, I learned a lot about looking at the world and international relations, foreign policy from kind of a feminist lens. And this made me really interested in understanding how I could bring something like that to my own community. And it really taught me about a lot of prevalent issues within things like domestic violence and a lot of the sectors that Wilpf includes that were prevalent in my own community and that I had recognized in the debate space. So when I realized this was something that I was looking for, I came across Wilpf and I came across Jan Quarterman, who's helped me with so much in organizing everything. And eventually by May, we were able to officiate the branch, which was so incredible. And since then, we've accumulated over 20 members just newly signed up over the summer. And we've officiated a board of members now who are going to help in leading the organization. So we've held our first event about 2 months ago, or last month actually, where the board members and we traveled to the Lotus House Women's Shelter in Miami, Florida. This is a domestic violence shelter with women and children living there. The group members and we donated boxes filled with a bunch of different toiletries, school supplies for the children living there, non-perishables like canned foods, and we donated boxes and boxes of those. They were extremely grateful. So that's just one of the smaller initiatives that we're working on. We want to kind of help with the ground up in solving issues like not solving issues of domestic violence, but caring for those women and children within our community and kind of fostering the children for the future, I guess. So I'm very interested in that. And I'm really interested in anyone's feedback, reaching out and collaborating with different branches all around the world. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Next up is we're going to have Joanne Muldoon from the Des Moines, Iowa branch. The home of our headquarters is in Des Moines, Iowa, of course. And the Des Moines, Iowa branch is one of the most dynamic branches in our system. They do incredible work on several different fronts. So, Joanne, are you up and ready?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Take over.
Okay. So I just joined the Wilpf leadership team last year after being pretty inactive for a long while. The last few years, Wilpf Des Moines is focused on joining up with other peace and justice coalitions and organizations to work on, probably first and foremost, a statewide CAFO moratorium bill. The Iowa legislature has had the bill introduced for the past 6 years, but both chambers of the legislature and the executive branch are controlled by Republicans, so that it hasn't gone anywhere. But Wilpf members over the past 2 summers have tabled dozens of farmers markets and fairs to educate the public and gain signatures in support of the CAFO moratorium bill. We've gone to a couple of education/lobbying days at the State House, the Iowa State House, to work on this. And we're in coalition with the Iowa Farmers Union, the Iowa Alliance for Responsible Ag, which is about an organization of about 30 other groups, Sierra Club and Food and Water Watch. But one of the reasons CAFOs are so important because we have a plethora of CAFOs in the state. They release the sewage waste of the equivalent of 134 million people, untreated waste, I might add, into our waterways, onto the land and in the air every year. So we've also initiated just this past year with the help of Wilpf US, a No Mow May initiative, which is started in England, and now there are a number of cities and communities across the U.S. who have started this No More May effort. We got a grant from Wilpf US and a grant from the local Unitarian Church. No More May is about bringing back pollinator counts whose numbers have declined about 50% in the last 50 years. And the UN has declared the decline of pollinators an existential threat because 75% of the human food supply is either directly or indirectly dependent on pollinators, pollinating our nuts, fruits, vegetables, coffee, and so much else. So
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. So we had about 200 families that participated in No More May. We had 2 feature stories in the Register and a front page Sunday editorial addressing No More May, in addition to some TV coverage. So we're also working on the Palestinian human rights issue with 10 of nations and efforts to end the war in Ukraine. We've had meetings with our congressmen at their local offices here. So that's I just wanted to thank Wilpf US again for the funding for No More May, and to welcome them to Des Moines in a couple of months when the leadership team will be here for their annual board meeting. That's all.
And again, the Des Moines branch is an incredibly dynamic branch doing incredible work on so many fronts. And I think that you really set an example, and hopefully other branches around the country will engage with you and help you out on your projects and vice versa. So once again, thank you so much for contributing to this forum.
Okay, thanks, Philip. And hi, everyone. So I'm the convener of the Jane Addams branch, and I love the fact that I can use that name because she has meant so much to me. And I am, and the Jane Addams branch is a virtual branch. So that means that people that aren't able to get out to their local branches or that have no local branch there can be in this branch, and they can participate. So the main thing is that they will get all the news from the branches listserv that we have, which there's people send out a lot of stuff on this, and it really keeps you involved in what's happening with Wilpf and their goals. And I think that we also have a meeting the third Wednesday of every month to ideally keep people where they can come with questions, and we've had different presenters. So I think it's a great way to keep in touch. And also the Jane Addams branch just got a mini grant approval, so for oral histories. So I don't want to just do Jane Addams people necessarily. We want to do Wilpf people. So we are going to be starting that. So if you have, particularly with the older people, I want to get to interview them and have them recorded. And so that is a project that will be going full blast soon. So that's the Jane Addams branch, the virtual branch. And it's so at-large members people have heard a lot about that in the past, but the at-large members don't get all the information that the Jane Addams branch does. So that's the major difference. Thank you.
Well, I am Barbara Taft, and I am the convener for the Greater Phoenix branch. And like most of our branches, we got slowed down by COVID. But when I realized that I was supposed to tell you what our branch has been doing, and I started to look at our recent history, I was kind of surprised to note that we haven't been as inactive as I thought. Let me tell you a little bit about our branch first. We call ourselves the Greater Phoenix branch because although Phoenix is kind of in the middle of the area that our members come from, we encompass about 24 cities and towns. From northwest to southeast, our members can live as much as 106 miles apart, and the distance from our westernmost members to those on the eastern edge of our area is just about 60 miles. Some of our members are even farther away in rural areas in the state of Arizona, and we're one of the 2 branches in the state State, the other one being Tucson. Getting together in person was difficult even before COVID, but we still held meetings and events, and we have always stayed in touch via email. The first year of COVID, we had only one event, and it was online. Every year we hold a Hiroshima memorial meeting, and that year we were on Zoom. Each person lit a candle individually after the memorial readings and singings, but we were unable to set them afloat that year. One of our members, Marge Thornton, has a lovely home with an atrium area that she created in the front of her house with many Japanese pieces of art. And the main feature is a koi pond, where she's allowed us to float candles each year at the in-person memorial event that we hold at her home. Last year, we enjoyed Japanese snacks, saw parts of a film, had several readings, and some discussion before we set the candles afloat. But this year, we scaled things down, having a vegan potluck meal, followed by open discussion about both what happened in Hiroshima and what is happening elsewhere in the world today, looking at what we need to do to be ripples in the pond and work toward peacemaking instead of warmongering. Then we floated our candles. Among the topics discussed was the movie Oppenheimer, and the fact that it has started people thinking about the issue of nuclear war, which is an opening for us. We were planning to do a joint event with the Phoenix chapter of Veterans for Peace on the first Friday of August at the Japanese Friendship Garden.
30 seconds.
But the garden postponed it until September 1st due to the excessive heat here. We will still commemorate Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but we will also highlight signing the peace agreement that ended the war with Japan. And we're fortunate that the Japanese garden has free admission and helps with publicity when the city of Phoenix has their first Friday events. We are looking forward to doing some arts related events because we have a lot of artistic people in our branch, and that includes the Arts for Peace. We will be doing an event hopefully at a theater in downtown Mesa or in conjunction with one of the Indian reservations. That's it. Thank you.
And I'll yank myself off the screen. The Wilpf mini grant program could use more people on the committee. So if you're interested in helping to fund projects, contact somebody. Contact program support at wilpfus.org. The grants range from $500 to $2,500, and they are available to branches that are in good standing, whatever that means, and issue committees, not to individuals and not to outside groups, but to Wilpf branches and Wilpf issue committees. Some information about the grant program is available on our website on the webpage for under resources, apply for grants. The documents, I'm not sure you can get to yet. I think you cannot. So if you need the application form, again, write to program support at wilpfus.org, and I will put that in the chat. And you know, I have lots of spare time, but I still haven't been able to figure out how to make all the documentation accessible to the outside. The links are broken, but we can send you the documents that you need. And we've funded a whole lot of things, symposiums and plays and purchase of equipment that was beyond the scope of the branches, and printing of infographic postcards, and you name it, we've done it. We've been doing a lot of funding for the PFAS project, testing fish for contamination, paying for the test kits. So if you have an idea, then apply for a grant. That's it.
Wilpf is being responsive to the technological revolutions that we are experiencing. Of course, those have been going on for a while. I'm specifically referring to the social media committee and the website committee, which both are ad hoc committees that I work with. The social media committee has been meeting, seeking to figure out how Wilpf US can be effective in social media. It is challenging because we don't have the funds at this time to have staff members whose primary work it is to do social media. If you were here yesterday, you had the chance to hear a little from Michael Ippolito about the really substantial gains he had made several years ago when he was doing regular social media, but that was then, and things have changed a lot since that time. He hasn't been funded to do that work, and Facebook has changed a lot. Also, of course, people are aware that Twitter has changed, and the social media committee is addressing the challenges of should we be off of X entirely because of the horrible things going on there. So the social media committee tries to come up with a social media plan for us, and that's, as I say, been challenging. We're focusing on volunteers in Wilpf doing better and more consistent social media. We're looking forward to offering a training this late fall for people who would like to learn how to do more effective social media posts. I wanted to also tell people a little bit about our website committee. The website committee has suffered from a number of challenges and setbacks. Most notably, the committee is primarily composed of a lot of us everyday Wilpf people who don't know that much about websites. We go to them like anyone else, but what's behind or what's under the hood? We have learned a lot. When I formed the committee about 4 years ago, I thought that within a year or two, we would have a new website all up and running. It hasn't worked out that way. We have instead been undertaking a number of other kinds of technological projects that are closely related to the website. For example, with the new website, we look forward to rolling out a new form of off-site electronic storage for some of our most basic documents for Wilpf US. Those are generally unavailable to people. We have documents in archives across the country, but most of us can't go hopping over to an archive to look up something about Wilpf's history. So being able for our members to be able to access all kinds of fundamental documents, what are our procedures, what are the protocols, who's on the board, what are committees, et cetera, will really, I hope, give people a lot more opportunities to participate in Wilpf. Additionally, the new website should offer people who are interested and get the training the opportunity to help update the website and post items to the website. So that will be a valuable part of the new website. The challenge we faced is how to organize material on the website. Wilpf is an extremely complex organization. We have so many different issues, and we have wonderful resources and materials that relate to those issues. We are, as we have discovered, more like a university and need something like a university website rather than your local plumber who just says, contact us and look at all of our exciting sinks. So there's a lot of information to put together. We are exploring new frontiers of information storage, information structure, and then, of course, building the actual website, where the most controversial issues are what should the colors be and how large should the font be. But of course, there are other areas as well. If you have photographs from Wilpf events, we hope to have a lot of photographs on the website. Feel free to get in touch with me to find out more about how we can use your photographs. Now, both the website and social media are all about communications. Yesterday, I mentioned, and I'll put it in the chat again today, that I'm looking for people who can help with the communications committee of Wilpf, which would be a committee that would address uses of e-news and other kinds of communications, including the website, social media, podcasts, the one Wilpf calls all of the different aspects of communications. Also, I did see just a glimpse of a passing chat, and the new website aspires to having available to each branch a page where they can do their own branch website on our new website. We have a lot of great ideas for how to elaborate on the website, but it's not an easy thing to follow through on all of them.
I think most of us were present yesterday when Barbara told us a little background about what CSW programs are. And without dwelling too much on what these programs are, I would like to say that please go on our website to get the details. The one thing that I want to focus, or I should say, inform everybody here about is that the CSW programs have two separate programs, which are together called the CSW programs. One is the local to global that Jen will be talking about. She's coordinating that. And I am coordinating the practicum portion of that. Now, the practicum program was traditionally restricted to college and university students who would apply for these programs and participate in it. This year, what we have done is that we are opening it up and encouraging those young women and men who are interested in peace building from a feminist lens to apply for these programs. They may not be traditional students, but if they are working in nonprofits or if they are interested in these programs, they are more than welcome to reach out to myself for practicum programs. I can leave my email on the chat. Actually, 1.5 minutes is so short that I'm trying to rush with all the information I have in my head. Now, one of the key things about these programs is that these programs are not merely an opportunity, which is great, to participate in the CSW forum that takes place during March in New York. But more importantly, these programs are a great way for our organization to bring intersectionality between our older, more experienced, seasoned Wilpf members and younger, newer members that we bring in through the practicum program. If we can foster this stronger connection between these two different kinds, then I think we will be up for a great future. I also want to especially thank the folks that have volunteered to be in the CSW ad hoc committee. I really think these programs really benefit from the combined knowledge and experience of the folks in these ad hoc who are serving in this ad hoc committee to share with us how we can improve upon these programs. These programs have been there for a long time, 9-10 years, but there's a lot of room for improvement.
30
We
seconds.
really hope that we can improve upon them. Thank you. And I'll leave my email in the chat.
Okay, as Shilpa said, I'm sort of taking the lead on the local to global program, which I'm really excited about that and appreciate the ability to do that. I just want to say that it's a great space to network, share Wilpf's work, and learn about gender equality issues and actions. And it's also a great place for advocacy within the UN and to the member states. I came to this project naturally, to the CSW naturally. Back in 2014, two of us from my branch heard about it on the website, or not sure exactly how, but we applied and we both got accepted. And that was back in 2014. And the week I spent at the forum, I feel was really life-changing. I attended a workshop put on by a woman rancher in Argentina who researched and found a better grass variety that she and her family planted and nurtured. Heard her joy in being able to keep her herd healthy. One session I attended was put on by a group of teenage women who created a message to every young woman by speaking their truth about their times as victims of human trafficking. And they did that through a play that they had created and they presented to us during the forum. I learned about a group called Peace Force that walks beside women on what can be a very long trip to get water. And they just walk beside them to keep them safe. And that's the same group that our Boston branch had as presenters at one of their strategic planning sessions that I happened to be invited to. In 2019, Eileen Karkowski and I attended together, and we heard from, on the plenary, we heard from the mayor of Pittsburgh about how the Wilpf branch in Pittsburgh, over many months, pushed him and the whole city council to become a CEDAW city. So that was exciting for both of us. And this year, I attended a session put on by women's action groups in Palestine. And now I've been able to make connections with that group. So still working with that group that I met there. So please watch for the announcements. Please apply if you have an interest in being part of one of the world's largest gatherings of feminist civil society and women's rights activists in the world. And Wilpf covers most of the expenses for local to global participants. So I encourage you to watch for the application and apply. But I do want to warn you, Shilpa and I will expect you to come back and do a project or two in your branch and in your community to share what you've learned. So just a heads up on that too. There's a little of that involved too. I'm really excited that Genevieve is here. I don't know, Diane, have we got a minute to hear from her?
I guess we could take a minute.
I want to encourage our daughters and granddaughters and sisters of our existing members who may or may not be Wilpf members to please watch out for these more announcements regarding these programs. Reach out to myself or Jan. We are encouraging members to apply for these programs so that
Hey everyone, hope you're well and good. My name is Dee Murphy and I'm the current Congress coordinator for Wilpf's next triennial Congress. We hope to see you there. Here is some basic information about the upcoming Congress. The dates of the triennial Congress are May 30th through June 2nd, 2024 in St. Paul, Minnesota at the St. Paul Intercontinental Hotel Riverfront on the Mississippi River. I am putting in chat a photo gallery of the venue so that everyone can kind of tour around if you click on it and see what it looks like and what to anticipate when you attend. The theme for this year's event is water on the front lines for peace, a topic which almost every issue committee will be able to connect with and present on. The program committee is currently organizing the program, including deciding on plenary and panel presenters. There will be a save the date flyer issued through the branch's communications listservs. Nancy Price, the program chair, can speak to the variety of topics that interconnect with this very important theme. It has not been decided as to what percentage of the Congress will be virtual, but it will not be full hybrid. So we are really encouraging members to attend. If you have suggestions for the National Congress Committee, Programming Committee, or want to volunteer to assist those of us in Minnesota with site committee details, such as tabling, hanging signs, and other details, please send an email to nuggums@gmail.com or Nancy Price at nancytprice39@gmail.com. I'll put that in chat and put Congress 2024 in a subject line. We're also working on a possibility of a 3-day after retreat, which will have a focus on Minnesota's long history with its indigenous roots and would be led by Minnesota's Lower Sioux community on their reservation, which is fertile with historical markers. Minnesota Makoche was the original Dakota word for this area, which means land of the cloudy waters or sky tinted waters. And I will also give you a link where you can find out a little bit more about the history of the indigenous cultures and landmarks here in Minnesota. Thank you very much, and I will turn it over to Nancy.
Thank you, Dee, very much. As we all are so committed to understanding that water is essential for all life of people and ecosystems, every day this is confirmed On Maui, just recently, firefighters reported that they had little water pressure to put out the raging fires, and people risked their lives jumping in the ocean for refuge from the fire. Our Congress theme on water and peace will include sessions that look at the many ways water has been at the center of conflicts and used as a weapon of war, at the center of the commons as part of a healthy ecosystem when it is shared and cared for and protected, when it is a public service for the public good or privatized for profit, and when it becomes contaminated, it threatens our health and the functioning of ecosystems because of corporate greed and the disregard for the impacts of contamination. We will be reaching out to the Minneapolis and St. Paul communities to collaborate with different groups and organizations and into the wider community, wider region as well. We will be inviting these various connections that we make to participate in this Congress and also to join us in tabling and perhaps entertainment. It's no surprise that over the past 8 years of record heat, that we are more and more and more aware of water. We can't take it for granted that it is safe to drink, affordable, and available. New records are being set and broken for heat, drought, disastrous downpours, floods, and I leave it to you to add to that list. So please join us in St. Paul for our Congress, May 30 to June 2nd, and we will begin to rally around water and peace as they're connected together. Thank you very much.
Advancing human rights. We have so many issues in the world, but we have some wonderful subcommittees under Advancing Human Rights, one of which is led by Tina Shelton, and it's Borders and Migration Justice, and she'll be the first one to speak. Tina?
Thank you all. Thanks for the intro, Donna. Looking forward to seeing you on your new computer when you get it set up. Border and Migration Justice Subcommittee of Advancing Human Rights is one of the new committees that is started with the reboot of the Advancing Human Rights Committee. Since its inception, we have spent time getting to know one another and crucially, what is happening in our parts of the U.S. section regarding these issues. We also spent time in the process of identifying ourselves as a subcommittee and choosing a name that fits what we identified as salient to what we wanted to be a part of. We created a statement that defines us. I might read that, I might not. And we remind ourselves to center the voices of those from impacted communities. We are lucky that we do have people on our subcommittee that are from migrant communities. Our two current initiatives are a Spanish language Wilpf brochure. It is translated from our Join Wilpf Today brochure, and we are looking forward to having that at a place where it can be found on the website. Until then, it can be found, it can be emailed to you if you would. I'll put my email in the chat. And setting up a meeting with the Mexican section of Wilpf, Mexico. Melissa Torres is helping us to coordinate that part, that people-to-people connection. Yep. And
can do this from in here. Yeah, okay. Here we go. There. So you can be reading along, and I won't read, but basically people have felt that we're not getting adequate representation in the broadcast media, especially the ones like PBS who are committed to be our representatives. So we're going to meetings of local PBS and trying to get in, acquainted with the people who run the stations and try to get on their boards and also just attend. The second thing, and other ways as well, but I should have said also rhetoric. We're working on how we phrase things, how we reach out to people, what is our tone. Okay, secondly, cultural and the arts. Often our posts are not regarded very well in Wilpf because Wilpf is set up to have these lists that are all about actions, and we're not actions, we're performance and we're creation. So this is a place where we won't be seen as too strange or eccentric. We will listen. We are there to promote any creative idea or project that has a social action aspect to it, and it doesn't matter how oblique that may be. And if you want to learn more about that, contact me. Sensitization goes in terms of genders and any other way you can think of. We're challenging old assumptions and trying to make it more diverse. We hope that you will visit our CCS new listserv, and we give this message how to join it. I will put the link into the chat so that you can go to this information site, and that will give you the little form that you have to fill out in order to join our CCS list. And we would welcome you there. There are so many talented people, as I heard from Barbara Taft, they're just crawling with talent over there in Phoenix, okay? So I'm gonna stop my share and I'll put all my information into the chat. And I wanna thank you very much, and please consider our new culture and the arts and communications list.
I would like to say something, if I may. I've lived in Georgia for 42 years. Went to Spelman College. I do care about mass incarceration, so I would like to participate in that field because Georgia, I mean, it's so amazing what is happening, even to the point where some people are spending 14, 25, 30 years past their time in jail in Georgia. So I just had to say something about that because it's so very important. My name is Annette Davis Jackson, and I don't want to belabor anything, but I think that's so very important, even to the point of speedy trials, of not having bond. And I ran for US Senate in Georgia. So I just wanted to say that. And I look forward to being a part of the many exploits from this organization. Thank you.
Are you an Atlanta member of the Atlanta Wilpf?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. So
I've
then
been, look, I
can
went to
contact
Spelman.
Cece. So you and Cece Anderson can work together then.
I would so love it.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
was a
wonderful.
gentleman. I would so love it because it's so important to what's happening. Even the Georgia pardons and paroles, they make decisions based on one person. They don't have their families involved or anything. So I am really invested in that part of what we can do for Georgia, along with all the human rights that we could think of, because many constitutional rights are being violated. Yeah, I understand that people
Thank
make
you.
mistakes.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lenny Villagomez Reeves. I'm here for the Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Committee, which is co-chaired by Cindy Domingo and me. And we work by empowering and educating diverse U.S. women to struggle toward our ultimate goal, the end of the U.S. blockade of Cuba, the reestablishment of normal relations, the end of sanctions on other countries in Latin America and elsewhere, and a U.S. foreign policy based on peaceful relations and mutual respect for self-determination and the right to national sovereignty, small things like that. Our current campaign is the Off the List campaign, removal of Cuba from the US list of state sponsors of terrorism, and also defeat of the Force Act in Congress, HR 314 and S 538, which are an attempt to prevent any president from removing Cuba from this list. We work in very close conjunction with the organization US Women in Cuba and in coordination with other member organizations of the National Network on Cuba. And in that regard, I'd like to say that we really urge Wilpf to show solidarity with other peace organizations, social justice and solidarity organizations as they come under attack. These include the All African People's Socialist Party. It includes Black Alliance for Peace, and most recently, it includes Code Pink. So we urge you to go to Cuba and see for yourself on one of the many delegations and trips available. We urge you to join us. Our next meeting will be in September. When the US attacks and harms so many countries, why is Cuba our flagship, or rather our lighthouse on these very stormy seas? Cuba lets us know that it's possible to do things differently. It's real. Free universal health care, education, elimination of structural racism, no child labor, sustainability, international cooperation, and solidarity on the side of the oppressed. Cuba lets us know that it is possible to resist, and Cuba lets us know that it's possible to win, and we need to know this. Thank you. Join us.
The next speakers are Cheryl Spencer and Ellen Thomas. They're the co-chairs of the Disarm Committee. So Cheryl.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Spencer, one of the two co-chairs of the Disarm and End Wars Committee, speaking on behalf of our other co-chair, Ellen Thomas, and our whole committee. Wilpf has been working to disarm the planet since 1915, and so our committee's mission is a core one. Our committee members take action on various ongoing campaigns that further our two main linked missions. First, to abolish war and the military enterprise that encourages military solutions to conflicts rather than diplomacy. And second, to work for a nuclear-free future. We have been advocating for the Nuclear Weapons Abolition and Conversion Act since 1994. Recently, we've been joined by the Warheads to Windmills Coalition. We have been gathering more co-sponsors and educating many congressional reps about nuclear weapons and stressing the need to spend the money saved by abolishing nukes on new green ways of generating electricity. We work in various other coalitions, such as People Over the Pentagon, to get the Pentagon's annual budget reduced, and Diffuse Nuclear War, to educate the public about nukes. Recognizing that the Congress holds the authority to provide the funds to all government agencies, we support several bills, such as amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act, providing compensation to the peoples who are still suffering from the effects of long ago nuclear weapons testing. And we support legislation to deal with the radioactive waste and contaminated lands created over decades of nuclear weapons production. We write resource guides on such topics. We provide them to the public and our Wilpf branches so they can carry out their own projects. We provide petitions to the President and the Senate regarding international treaties that we want the US to sign or adhere to. We have ongoing projects on autonomous lethal weapons, on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, opposing the use of cluster bombs, stopping the modernization of ICBMs, reducing the number of overseas military bases, and reducing NATO's influence. For the past 18 months, our committee has been focusing on stopping the war in Ukraine by diplomatic means and not by sending more weapons to Ukraine. We are part of a large coalition of peace groups called Peace in Ukraine, and we've been coordinating Wilpf members to take actions to end this awful. We welcome new members. We will have a breakout room at the end. And please, we have projects you can start right away. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. And Ellen is one of the tech people. She's one of the Ellens running this, so she is a co-chair too, but great presentation, Cheryl. Okay, the next one is Domestic Prisoners of War, or DPOW as we call it. And Dee Murphy and Rita Gonzalez will be speaking on that, I believe. So Rita.
Hello, everyone. It's Dee again. I am the creator and founder of DPAL, which is the newest issue committee in Wilpf US. I will paste our link here to look us up on Wilpf's website. And our motto is peace begins at home. And this was coined by Margot Schulter, and it's a perfect description. Some might wonder how the work of this committee factors into the struggle for world peace, the theme of Wilpf. The simple answer to this is when open warfare is waged against members of our households, our own households, who will be left to continue the fight? When significant demographics of our society are so worn out from surviving on a home front, where does the energy and enthusiasm come from to work towards peace throughout the environment and the world? When children do not have strong, solid foundations at home, we miss out on potential contributors to larger struggles. Domestic Prisoners of War focuses on the often unseen and unheard societal impacts of domestic violence in American society. The committee is survivor-founded and survivor-based. Due to the fact that there are other organizations that focus on domestic abuse, but mostly the organizations speak on behalf of survivors, as opposed to survivors speaking for themselves on what they need. It is not necessary to be a survivor to join us and work with our committee, although we are very organic and do not take a strictly administrative or academic approach in our work. We encourage a safe, shared space where we collaborate on approaches geared at improving conditions conducive to strengthening economic and social participation in those who've been impacted by this mostly hidden scourge on U.S. society. When members join, they are encouraged to select an area of focus that most interests them in examining in order to collaborate with other groups in effecting significant changes that need to be made. If you're interested in working with DPAL and do not have a particular area of interest, you're welcome to work with members who are already working on their areas of interest. Currently, our members are working on 8 different topics. The economic impacts of missing demographics from those facing or who have faced domestic violence challenges, domestic violence in a GLBTQ community, military and police domestic violence matters, domestic violence challenges faced by disabled individuals, domestic violence experiences of women who have recently migrated to the US, contributors to domestic violence issues in the Black community, and lifelong effects of childhood abuse, and finally, the mental health of abusers. We operate in a very organic fashion. Every member has a voice and is encouraged to share it during working group sessions and in our webinars. We receive a lot of inquiries from people who say they run domestic abuse shelters or agencies. Please be aware that no one runs anything within this committee. We are all equal members and our focus is on empowerment of ourselves and others. Our next webinar will be on October 21st, 2023 at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific. Please look for the save the date information that will be disseminated through the branches list. At present, I am a co-chair of DPAL along with Rita Gonzalez. We make a wonderful team in that we have differing approaches that appeal to varying levels of interest. Mine is more methodical. Domestic violence, what is it costing you? Whereas Rita encourages shared experiences. I will leave it to Rita to continue a description of our mission from here. And I will put our address in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go as quickly as possible because actually someone's dropping off a package here. Bad timing, I apologize. What I want to bring out, and Dee probably touched on it already, that we are survivor and survivor based. So everyone that is in the committee has had personal experiences and have been deeply affected by domestic violence. My area, if you want to call it area of expertise, for the lack of a better word, my topic area is child sexual abuse and trauma. Not just surviving it, but thriving from it. And so that is very personal to me as being a survivor myself. I know there's a lot of administrative people here, but that's not where, and I'll just personalize it. Coming from, I don't approach it academically or administratively. It's very organic. It's very real. It's very personal. That's why it's very important that those that come in the committee have actually had experiences, because we know, we've been in the trenches. We know what's going on. We know what occurred, and we've got an idea of some things that need to be done. And one very basic thing is that we do truly care for each other in the group. It's not therapy, but it can be therapeutic. We're working on different things at different levels, but we are looking into legislation.
The next speaker is Nancy Price for Earth Democracy Issue Committee. So Nancy?
Yes, please put on the timer for me. Thank you. There it goes. The Earth Democracy Committee grew out of an earlier Save the Water campaign that was mainly focused on privatization of water systems and bottled water issues. It was out of the desire to incorporate a larger, broader agenda into our work, so that we then became the Earth Democracy Committee. I'd like to, wait a minute, Ellen, would you share my materials there? Thank you very much. Oh dear, let's see, they don't show up. What do we do here? If you could go to the first page. Thank you. Thank you very much. So our Earth Democracy banner was designed for the large People's Climate March in September of 2014, when over 300,000 people marched in New York City. I want to now let you know, if you could just keep scrolling, yeah, thank you, that there is now, as we understand clearly, a climate emergency. First of all, I want to say that we're going to be working on racial and environmental injustice issues, and work with branches to learn of their, and members to learn about their local cases. I want to bring your attention to Sunday, September 17, when there will be a massive march to end fossil fuels in New York City, with a march, rally, and protest at 1 p.m. There were demands being made on President Biden, and you can find information here at the website that I give you. It's important that you try to plan to be in New York City, or that you plan with your allies a local event. You can order banners at this website that I give you, or you can make your own signs. This is a very important march that comes before the UN Secretary General's Climate Ambition Summit meeting at the UN. And I want to call your attention to the COP28 Climate Summit that will be held in Abu Dhabi in late November and early December, that this is the first time a CEO and president of a corporation, in this case, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, is going to be chairing this COP Climate Summit. This is
30 seconds.
Oh my goodness. This is primary evidence that the corporations have now become, as they wanted to be, stakeholders in occasions and events at the United Nations, and particularly to have a role in the Sustainable Development Goals to be achieved by 2030. Well, if I'm out of my time, that's a problem for me. Let's see.
Well, you have 20 seconds left. That
I
was
have
your
20
30
seconds
second
left.
warning.
Well, first of all, I'll comment that a lot of the Earth Democracy works coalesces with the work of other issue committees. Here I've given you a list of those possibilities. If you would go on, Ellen, please. We have a project on asserting the rights of people and nature. First of all, the constitutional right to a livable climate, which was just won at a trial, first of its kind, climate change trial in Montana. And there's
Your time
another.
is actually up, Nancy.
Pardon me?
Time is up.
Well, I'm going to scroll through here. First of all, finally, I want to call your attention here to the Human Right to Water and Safe Food Project. This focuses on the toxic PFAS chemicals, forever chemicals. And Marguerite Edelman has this excellent PowerPoint presentation that you can present to your branch. If you'll just scroll down, you can email her at pfasinfo@wilphus.org. It's a powerful PowerPoint that addresses the main issues of the PFAS contamination in our air, land, and water, and that our bodies are being contaminated without our consent. Finally, I'd like to just say, for those of you, as we reimagine our Earth Democracy agenda and work, that we're going to be putting together an Our Food and Health project, focusing on the CAFOs, which you heard about earlier, with North Carolina and Iowa. We're putting together a food sovereignty, regenerative, sustainable agriculture and farming project that will be focusing on land grabbing in particular, who's doing it and why. Young Farmers Coalition, and in honor of Rachel Carson and Silent Spring, a campaign against chemicals and pesticides and the corporations that produce those and take no responsibility for the impacts. Thank you very much, and hope you'll join us and help with our new projects. And I will put in the chat how you can message me in an email. Thank you very much.
Kind of do our bid for the MEPJAC committee, and Tura's here, and I'm sure Barbara hopefully is still here, and I saw Odile earlier, so hopefully several of us will be with you in the breakout if you'd like to join us in the breakout. I want to start out by just saying that for most of our committee's history, MEPJAC, the Middle East Peace and Justice Action Committee, we have focused primarily on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And we did that knowing that this conflict is the root of nearly every other program in the Middle East. And of course, you're probably all aware of the increased violence there in Palestine this year. Our focus really has not changed. And if I can summarize it, as U.S. citizens, we function with the knowledge that U.S. policy in the Middle East does not advance our mission. They are not with us when it comes to the problems in this area. And it's really not just the politicians, with some, and I should comment, some wonderful, well-spoken exceptions. We have some good politicians out there. But we see the press also making repeated reports that just accept Israel's claim in defining the conflict. And this year, near total acceptance has led to a really biased U.S. policy in which Israel is supported with billions of our tax dollars for military assistance to the tune of over 3.8 billion per year. And of course, that whole philosophy doesn't just stop in Israel, Palestine. It permeates much further than that. But I do want to say, more recently, we've begun to specifically focus on other regional problems and conflicts. Hopefully you've seen through the e-news and through the Peace and Freedom, our efforts to lift up the situation in Lebanon, the war in Yemen, and the really massive infusion of money for militarization in the region. And to this end, we've looked at the need for a weapons of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East. We've written about it. And we've looked at the corruption in various regimes, such as that in Lebanon, and had done some really good work, thanks to some of our members who are from Lebanon. in terms of what's going on there, and elections are coming up there. Just two examples that you've seen us again write about. As we consider how best to approach our work, we also look for the intersectionality with other Wilpf work. And I want to give a shout out for the recent Peace and Freedom article that Tura Campanella Cook, Barb Taft, Regina Burchin from our team did with Nancy Price of Earth Democracy. It really lifting up the environmental issues in Palestine lifts those issues up in the rest of our world. We also appreciate the work of our program chairs, George Friday and Jennifer Bailey, in helping us identify those intersectionalities. And we send our best wishes to Jennifer, who recently had to leave as program chair due to health issues. We also work with other coalitions, and along that line, work in coalition with other groups. And along that line, just a few days ago, Tura and I, as MEPJAC co-chairs, shared dates for events in California that feature Adam Manassa. And Adam is the liaison for US-based group Friends of Wadi Fokin. Adam is from that village located in the Bethlehem district of the West Bank. And you've no doubt heard about multiple land confiscations and property demolition orders. Those horrendous acts threaten Wadi Fokin as well as other parts of the West Bank. So those events are coming up. Well, they're going to be in Iowa twice, and we'll let you know. Our members in Wisconsin know let you know when they're in there. So, yeah, thank you.
Done. Okay, Tara, did you want to say anything, or Jan? That was it for.
Well, I had more, but I ran out of time.
Okay, well, that's good because the issue committees, like I said, we'll have the breakout rooms. So then,
yeah, please.
Tara, did you want to just say a couple of words real quick?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, good enough. We're on to our last one. It's Women, Money, and Democracy. Mary Beth Gardam is the chair. So Mary Beth, go ahead, and then we'll go into breakout rooms.
Okay, thank you very much. The Women, Money, and Democracy Committee of Wilpf US began as the committee that worked on corporate power back in the early 2000s. We were called then Corporations versus Democracy Committee, and we promoted our Wilpf corporate study course. And later we worked closely with the Move to Amend organization allies. But during the mid-2000s, the committee changed our name to Women, Money, and Democracy and moved towards a broader perspective that applied a feminist lens to economic justice issues and continuing threats to democracy. Women's voices are being silenced, and as a result, the gap between the poor and the rich is growing, racism and authoritarianism are on the rise, and the planet is a much more fragile and dangerous place. You can check out our webpage, which lists so much information about what we're doing, and you can use it to connect to our issues and our materials. And I'll put that into the chat. Because the transition of our committee, we've been able to attract more engaged members, most of whom join us monthly on the third Tuesday of each month at 8 p.m. Eastern. They're from all over the US, and they're committed feminists who are deeply interested in the way that our economy and our currency system disadvantages women and the poor. We're learning together about these disadvantages and about innovative solutions that can help transform the system. The projects we're working on now include public banking, feminist economic literacy, monetary reform, corruption among corporations, shell corporations, and government. And of course, we continue to work on our flagship project, Corporate Power and Defeating Corporate Personhood. We're continuing more with we're connecting more with Wilpf International environmental working groups and a feminist economics working group internationally as well. We've developed a vibrant partnership with An Economy of Our Own, Kierkegaard Diamond's Feminist Economic Educational Alliance. If you don't know about An Economy of Our Own, please go to their website. I'll put it in the chat and observe the role that Wilpf plays there. And check out their wonderful recordings. We've also formed a new coalition with Alliance for Just Money, which has helped us understand more about how the most basic part of our economy, currency creation, works and the kinds of reforms that are necessary there. And we're trying to convert our original study course into a podcast. Again, we meet the third Tuesday of each month, 8 p.m. Eastern. Issue committees are the entry point for Wilpf members to begin to help shape our projects, policies, and outreach actions. If you want to see Wilpf go in new directions or take on new challenges in your own community, becoming a part of an issue committee or having a branch representative join and report regularly back to your branch is a great way to do that. I'm offering virtual presentations to branch meetings, so you should contact me if that's of interest to you. And finally, I just want to announce that the last One Wilpf call of 2023 will be on Thursday, October 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Please put it on your calendar. And if you have ideas for topics or speakers for that Zoom, please contact me. And I'll be putting all that information in the chat now. Bye.